Hey everybody, Adam Crosley. Just super honored and humbled to even be on the stage today. If I was sitting in the audience, I would just, the idea to be able to sit in the audience and just watch what we've seen today, absolutely awesome. The fact that, I was asked to be up here, honored and humbled to do that is just absolutely awesome. And thank Steve, thank Jody, thank Rachel for putting this on. Absolutely amazing presentation. So anyway, today what I want to talk to you and kind of what I want to teach you is a little bit about mentorship and about personal development. So imagine if you could have any mentor in the world, living or dead. Imagine if you could just, reach over to your bookshelf and there they were. Imagine if you could have, the Mr. Universe be your health coach. Imagine if you could have Warren Buffett be your wealth coach. Imagine if you could have Gandhi be your happiness coach. Mentors have the ability to bring, to uplift you, to get what you want in your life. Mentors have the power to really help get you there. Everyone values the importance of a role model, but mentors really are more powerful than anybody to transform your life. A really good mentor is somebody that's going to be there for you and somebody that's going to care for you and somebody that's going to hold you accountable to reach your goals and to hit those milestones that you didn't even know were possible. Somebody that could help you not even sometimes, get you past where you think is even possible, 10x what your own goals are, and then help you and hold your hand, hold your feet to the fire to get you to that place. And everybody in life wants certain things, but most people, not everybody, is willing to really just put in the work and the effort to get there. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that today. Life is short. Have you ever just blinked and the afternoon's gone? Have you ever just fell into a rut and maybe created some bad habits and a day was gone, a week was gone, a month was gone? Could you even imagine a year? Some people it's even a decade. A little bit about my life. I've got 3 kids, one on the way, and I'll tell you, man, my oldest is 7. He was just in diapers. In my brain, obviously it's been years since, but time flies. And if you don't get a grip on it, as life speeds up, it's just gone. So, when we're young, we all think about what do we want in life? What is the so-called good life, as you say, right? And I've heard it said before that when you're a teenager, your ideal life is the good life, the life you write for yourself, the script you program into your brain when you're a teenager. That's the good life. And for lots of different people, that's lots of different things. And truthfully, that's really based upon the mentors we have when we're teenagers, right? But, I was lucky enough when I was a teenager, and I'll kind of digress, I grew up just this side of poor. It was, we weren't quite dirt floor poor, but we were pretty damn close. I went to a school, I graduated high school with 28 kids. It was a small, rural town. I ended up there because my mom fought for us, but ended up losing us in a custody battle. And she had a hard time, and, God bless her, she had a drug problem, but she worked through it and she's become an awesome person. But, she had some issues there. And my dad, who eventually won, he had an alcohol problem. We used to fight, we used to throw down when I was a teenager, my dad and I, and man, it was a mess. But anyway, it was it was interesting, and nonetheless. And you know, what I learned from that rough childhood was that, well, let me look at it from a different way. My mom was ever the optimist. I lived with my mom. My parents got divorced when I was 4. I lived with my mom from the time I was 4 to the time I was 12. And my mom couldn't pay the rent. We lived in like 15 houses in that time span. We moved every 8 months or so because I don't know why, we just did, and I just kind of got used to it. I think I'm good at sales because I bounced around so much in that time span in my life. However, Mom always said, and she beat into my brain, that, hey, we're always rich in love, peace, and happiness. And I was 12, and I was like, Mom, I want to be rich in some dollars someday, right? And but man, every Christmas Eve we would drive around, we'd go to all the rich neighborhoods and see all the lights. You know, like, my goal in life is to have like the tackiest front lawn. I want to be the guy from Christmas, the Christmas show. Can't think of the name of it. But oh, man, but she instilled in us the idea to dream. When I was 12, through this nasty custody battle, I went to my dad, and my dad had his own problem with alcohol, and we used to fight a lot. But my dad, man, he was a worker. So from my mom, I get this idea to dream, and from my dad, I got the ambition to work, and the scrappiness to know how to work. Growing up, when I was in college, I listened to this Brian Tracy tape a lot, and it was about, and one of the things in it is called Success Mastery Academy. Wonderful, wonderful 12-hour seminar. But in that Success Mastery Academy, he said, luck is like showing up on the job every day for 20 years, and then one day the person you need to blow your business up to get to the next level just happens to show up. And anyway, that's really what it is. And that's, I got the idea to dream from my mom and the ambition to work from my dad. Fast forward a bunch of years, I found myself in Alaska. I only found myself there because I had an opportunity. Somebody mentioned to me, like, hey, my sister was just up in Alaska picking up dog shit. It was a lot of fun. You should go. So I went. And anyway, I ended up in Alaska literally picking up dog shit. I was a dog handler on a glacier. I lived on a glacier. We got 24 hours off a week where we could go see normal people. But other than that, we lived on a glacier, 30 people, 300 dogs. And it was a wild experience. We were in front of customers all day. They were paying $500, $600 an hour to get up there, see everybody, gave them a hell of a show. They'd leave. It turned into a big-ass party. Great time. Had a lot of fun. After a couple of years of that, I realized this is great, but I want to do something different with my life. Well, what is that? I really didn't know at the time, but I knew that the answer was out there, and so I started reading some books, and I started seeing what else was out there, and I picked up Robert Kiyosaki, and I was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I was reading some Alexander Supertramp, and doing some wild things, but also some business things, and I didn't really know where I was going to go with my life at the time. Anyway, so long story short, I picked up dog shit in Alaska for 3 years, learned how to mush dogs, and it was a wild experience. Lived in a tent, made a decent amount of money, but not a lot, and really was in my early 20s and didn't care about a lot of things. So I had essentially financed my way through college on a credit card, and like most kids that you get a free hat and a $3,000 in debt. And so that's what I worked out with. And anyway, started to come back from Alaska, had like a 350 credit score. I mean, man, you got to try to have a credit score that low. But I did, and it was tough. I found out at one point my mom had actually stolen my identity for some cable bills. I had all these bills from when I was like 12, 13 years old that I had to fight through when I was 18, 19. And oh man, it was kind of a mess. But what I learned was that through Brian Tracy's Success Master Academy, through Robert Kiyosaki, through different other books, is that there's people out there that are achieving amazing things that I couldn't even fathom. I was brought back to when I was a kid and driving through the rich neighborhoods on Christmas Eve, and I could see that again, and I could start to picture myself as the people in the house instead of the people in the car. And that's kind of where I ended up. So I went on this huge, long journey of personal development and mentorship, and that's kind of really what brought me here today. Mentors are difficult to find sometimes. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's easy to find. But the biggest thing is to find a mentor that cares and a mentor that can bring you to that next level. Picasso said, good artists copy, but great artists steal. And I digress, but I actually got, there was this girl, Alana Frank, and in high school, and I thought she was the hottest girl. So to impress her on a history exam, and I was going to go to college originally to be a history teacher. I knew history, but to impress her, I wrote the answers on my hand, and then I got caught doing it. And man, it was a mess. But the point of the fact is, there's something to be said from copying. Robert Kiyosaki says that everybody in life, once you become an adult, and this is kind of where modern education and the real world kind of digress, is that in modern education, you have to do it all alone. Well, in business in the real world, you don't have to do any of it. Ford was put on the stand one time, and he asked how he was able to do all these things, and he didn't know the answer to anything. And the prosecutor kind of laughed at him. But the reality is, he doesn't need to know. He only needs to know how to do his job, and everything else needs to be done by somebody else. That's their job. And what I've learned through growth is that they're probably going to be better at it than you are, because everybody has their own strengths. The reality is, no matter where you are in life and what you're trying to achieve, is that everybody in life has had amazing mentors. Many mentors have had many different mentors. Some of the greats, Warren Buffett had Ben Graham. Bill Gates had Warren Buffett, kind of along that same line. Aristotle had Plato, and Alexander the Great had Aristotle. I mean, shit, even Eminem had Dr. Dre, right? I mean, anybody grown up in the 90s would get that. But all the greats really had great mentors. And the amazing thing is that I think we're really blessed, and I don't think a lot of people really get this right now, but we're in a renaissance. We're in this information age where you can literally find anything you want out by a quick Google search. Anything you want to know in the world, just a quick Google search away. Could you imagine back 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago? I can't even fathom it. I remember when I was a kid, my grandmother gave me an encyclopedia. Like, I'm talking, 27 volume encyclopedia. And that was Google 30 years ago, 50 years ago. Well, now our encyclopedia has 1,000,000x, and it's just a fingertip away. the reality is, though, in that is that any problem that you've ever had, any problem that you're going to come up against, somebody else has had that same exact issue. Somebody else has had that same exact issue and probably written a book about it. So look for that. Go deep. Look for that person that's found that book. I mean, I found so many different mentors on so many different types of points in my life. I've struggled in business. I've struggled in leadership. I've struggled in parenting. I've struggled in being a husband. I've struggled in being an ex-husband. I've struggled in being a stepfather. I've struggled in being a good son. I've struggled in being a good brother. I've struggled in being a good friend. And the reality is, all of those problems, there's mentors out there for that. There's somebody that's had an issue and worked through it and built something upon it. So I would challenge you, whenever you have a problem, find the best in the industry. Go to the top. One of my favorite authors is Grant Cardone. And he really preaches this whole 10x rule thing. And there's a lot to be said for that. And I think the culmination of it is just think bigger, right? People say that you're the culmination of the 5 people that you surround. Your paycheck is you make the average of what the 5 people around you make. And, you're the culmination of most of the 5 people you hold dear to you. But I think his thing is just think bigger. Think 10 times bigger. Whatever your goals are, take that and multiply it by a factor of 10. If you want to start $1 million company, start a $10 million company. Find people that have a $10 million company and copy them. Learn from them. Ask them how they did it. One thing that I have done in the last few years, and this honestly, it's actually the reason why I'm here today, is whenever I read a good book, a book that I value highly, I reach out to the author. Peter has actually become one of my best friends, and I mean, I've only known him for 8 months. He's one of the few people that I have this spot up in the Adirondacks, and he's one of the few people that's actually ever been up there. I cherish him highly, and it all started because I read his book, and then I listened to it. I bought it on Audible. A good friend recommended it to me, so I read it and then bought it on Audible, listened to it, and I reached out to him because there was a mistake in the Audible. Found him on Facebook. We had like 40 mutual friends, which was crazy, and then we just spawned a relationship out of that. And anyway, 6-8 months later, here we are today. So honored and humbled to even be here to help Peter out. But that's what mentorship is. And Peter has helped me grow my business this year in an amazing way. I have personally struggled a lot with growing, and I've had some I've had a paradigm where I have to do business belly to belly. And he's really broken me through that, saying, well, you don't really have to. And really, he's really got me to the point, and he's been my most recent mentor, but he has put me in check whenever I say, this is my limiting belief. I now question myself and say, well, what if that wasn't true? And I owe that completely to Peter as my mentor. So Peter, amazing coach, wonderful guy. Everybody wants the good life, but really not everybody's willing to do it. In order to achieve, the quote unquote good life and achieve at super high levels, you got to be humble. Most people, once they get a little extra cash, they start getting a little cocky. It happened to me, like out of the gate, I was like, my goal's 100 grand. Got there in 3 years. And then I was like, I'm a baller. I'm good. I'm 25. I'm making 100 grand. Just came from the glacier. Things are good. That's what led to my divorce. That's what led to a lot of downfalls in there because I wasn't humble. I was arrogant. I was kind of stupid, truthfully, looking back, hindsight. So I would say in mentorship, things to look for. understand how to be humble at a super high level. And then probably number 2 is consistency. Rick Rubio, mortgage guy, one of my best coaches that I've ever had, one of my best mentors is, and one of the things I've learned from him is, a good business is a boring business. You can fast forward my calendar today 3-4 years out, and I know exactly what I'm doing on Tuesday, whatever of October 2025. My day is planned. The only thing I don't know is who I'm going to meet and who I'm going to call that day. A good business is a boring business. And it's all about the grind. It's the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. Kind of sounds like an engine, just that same thing. And it's that same pulse. And that's one of the things that I've really learned about small business is you have to figure out what you need to do to make your business thrive and pump at a super high level. So that's one of the things that I love about that. But it's about that perseverance. Getting back to that Success Mastery Academy from Brian Tracy, one of my favorite talks he gave in that is, or one of my favorite quotes is, how do you spell luck? And it's WORK. You show up every day and you grind it out, in and out. And then one day, after 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 or 25 years, the person you need, the thing you need just happens to show up. And everybody's like, oh man, you got so lucky. How'd you do that? Well, I showed up every day for 25 years and I just happened to be there when the guy showed up. And that's really what it is. It's about that perseverance. It's about that grit. That's really what it is. It's about the grit. It's about the grind. It's about the consistency in developing. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. And anyway, so I'll leave you with this. No matter where you are in life, no matter where you want to get to, mentors are the shortcut. And I believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that you can achieve anything in life that you want to, as long as you, 1, think big enough, 2, are humble, and 3, are consistent. I hope you guys enjoyed this today. If there's anything I can do for you, please feel free to reach out. Adam Crossley.